Okay, everybody. So we'll start with the first dip that I've got for us, which is the red capsicum and cashew dip. It's in the cookie dough as capsicum and sun-dried tomato dip. So I'm just going to spotlight my other camera. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along. Nia's going to be monitoring the chat, so you can pop your questions into chat. Okay. So what we've got here, and I just want to make sure you can see the screen clearly, is capsicum and sun-dried tomato dip. So I'm just going to, I'm aware that some of you have got the TM6 and some of you have the TM31. This is awesome for any Thermomix and a nice, quick and easy one. So start cooking. So we've got Parmesan cheese going in. Let me just grab that. Okay, so we're just going to cube the Parmesan cheese before it goes in, pop that into the bowl and press next. Our garlic clove popping in here, so that's one garlic clove going in. And next, and I'm just popping my measuring cup on, pressing next, and we're just going to grate this at speed 9. Just going to scrape the sides down now. And adding in 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. So I've done this with the ones out of the jar, but my preference is to get the ones from the deli counter. So we're just going to pop 100 grams of these in. Make sure we tear the scales in between. And that's about 100. And next, so we've got half a capsicum, just chopped and de-seeded. I'm popping that in also. Raw cashews, 120 grams of raw cashews, all going in here. And olive oil. So just pouring the olive oil in. You can add different oils if you want to this one. You could use a macadamia oil if you wanted to, for example. And then the white vinegar going in. I use white wine vinegar. It doesn't have to be white wine vinegar. It can just be white vinegar. And we'll pop that lid on. So this has selected the turbo function on here. So if you were using the TM31 or TM5, you would select the turbo yourself. And it asks you to do it 5 to 7 times. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it in between. Just check that it's going to the consistency that I like. I'm just going to have a look now because I think that looks about right for me. Yeah, so I like a little bit of chunk in mine. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So you can see that in there. So keep passing the blue bowl. I'm just going to shift that now here into a serving bowl. And you can see just how quick and easy that was. So I'm going to pass you over to Nia now, and she's going to take you through one of the dips that she has prepared for you today. I'll pop Nia on to Spotlight.
Thanks, Anthea. Can you hear me? Yeah. Mute. Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name's Nia. I'm one of Anthea's team here on the Northern Beaches. I'm going to be doing 2 dips for you today, and I'm actually going to do it in reverse order and start with the sweet rather than the savoury, just because it needs a little bit of cooking time. So I'm going to be cooking a butterscotch sauce, and then I'm doing a beetroot, parmesan and cashew dip. So I'll talk you through a little bit about that. This butterscotch one is taken from the Sweet Sauces book, and which you can find on Cookie Do, and is suitable for any model of Thermomix. It doesn't have to be the TM6. It's a really quick and easy sauce to do. Great for the kids and the big kids as well. So I'm just going to go into my menu, and I've actually prepared a little list for today. So I've got my recipes, and I've got created collections. And somewhere here, I've got my dips. So that's what I did for today's cooking class. Okay, so here we have butterscotch sauce, and we're just going to start cooking. Now I'm going to get this going and chat to you because it's just got 2 minutes for the butter to melt. So the first thing I need to do is add 60 grams of unsalted butter cut into pieces. And the reason we advise you to cut into pieces, whether it's butter or maybe Parmesan, if the pieces are too big, they can get wedged under your blades, and there is a chance that it could damage them and split them, or more importantly, it's not going to cut properly and go through the whole recipe. So I'm just going to put that 60 grams in, like so. Then I'm going to just pop the lid on, and that's just going to melt for 2 minutes on 50 degrees. I'm just going to pop that in speed 1 to keep going. Now with this butterscotch sauce or dip, you can use it as a sauce. You can pour it over ice cream, you can pour it over cakes, however decadent you're feeling. You can also use it as a dip. So it's great for kids if you slice up some pear or some apple, and then you can just have that on skewers and dip it into the butterscotch sauce, a bit like a fondue in a way. If you want to be even more decadent, you can have some other bowls of maybe shredded coconut, maybe some ground nuts, dip it in the sauce and then dip it in one of those toppings, or even some sprinkles. I know my daughter would always go for that. So just a good little easy dessert, very quick to make this recipe. Once the butter's actually melted, we're going to then just be cooking it for 5 minutes and it's done. So you can have it as a warm butterscotch sauce. So just while we're waiting for that to cook, obviously there's a theme here today, a little bit around Christmas. And some of you may have received emails from Thermomix this week about our 12 days of Christmas. So not only are we doing the cooking classes this week for 12 days, but there's also a flash sale on the Mix shop where they're discounting products, different products every day for 12 days. So today is the 3rd day of the 12 days of Christmas. And what they are doing is discounting the silicone baking mats. Now this is an older version. The newer version comes with the circles printed on so that you can measure out bases. But these silicone mats are great. They go straight in the oven. They're dishwasher proof. And obviously you're doing your bit for the environment in terms of recycling and reusing. I use mine to prove dough. So I'll put my dough in and wrap it over. It really does have multiple uses. So just worth bearing in mind, there's $20 off that today. So that's definitely a bargain and it will last you for years. I can promise you that. So just to let you know. Now moving on to the next steps, asking me to add some brown sugar. And again, if you wanted to change the flavor, you could make this coconut sugar if you want. It really won't matter what sugar you have, but obviously with the brown sugar, it makes it that darker, richer flavor. That's going in. And then it's asking for 150 mils of pouring cream. So I've just got good old cold zone. I'm just going to pop that in. Sorry, so I can actually see the numbers. There we go. Oh, 151, very close, done. Excellent. It's asking for a tablespoon and a half of vanilla essence. So I'm just going to pop that in. And you can alternatively just pull up your scales to measure this. And on my next recipe, I will do that and show you how you can do that just to save you even more washing up, which is always a bonus. Then half a teaspoon of salt flakes to taste. So I've just literally got some salt flakes there, measured, that's popping in, and that gives that lovely kind of salted caramelly flavor to the butterscotch sauce. I'm going to pop my lid on. And this is now going to cook for 5 minutes at 80 degrees on speed 3. So I'm not going to expect you to stand and watch that. So I might cut back to Anthea at this point so she can be starting on her next dip, and then we'll pop back at the end and hopefully you'll see that perfect end result. Thanks, Anthea.
Okay, I'm just going to spotlight back to my camera here. Okay, so next up for me is we're making the smashed pea and bean dip. So I'm just going to find that I've got it in my cooking today. So my week. And smashed pea and bean dip. So this is one in the Festive Flavors cookbook. It's one that I probably wouldn't have tried unless somebody else had made it first. And I tried it and I was like, wow, that's a really easy, impressive dip to make. So I have started some of the process. I'll show you what I've done so far. Okay, so the first step is to cook broad beans and edamame beans in your steaming basket. So you've got water in the jug. You place in the simmering basket frozen broad beans, frozen edamame beans, and frozen peas, and 2 cloves of garlic. Now the recipe does say you can have fresh broad beans. I just find it easy to have these things in the freezer. So if at the last minute somebody's coming around and I want to make this dip, I've got these ingredients in the freezer ready to go. One of the other things I did just then was shell the peas for you. I just want to show you what that means. So they're in like this. So after you've steamed them, you need to shell them. So for this one, for the edamame, it's just as simple as just popping the beans out. My daughter just helped me with those ones. And with the broad bean, it's just taking off that outer shell and just squeezing the beans out of there. So that's as simple as doing that. Okay, let's get to the section of the recipe that we're up to. So I've done the steaming, removed the basket, taken off the shells, empty the mixing bowl. Okay, so just going to make sure the bowl is nice and dry. So next step is to add a spring onion. So here's my spring onion, just roughly chopped. That's going in the bowl. Some mint leaves, which I don't have because I don't particularly like mint in this dish. I sometimes find it a bit overpowering. I like to add the mint at the end. And then I'm going to add my avocado. So just a little tip with the avocado. Getting the avocado out of the shell. If any of you have got the Thermomix toolkit, we've got this nice ice cream scoop, which also doubles up as an awesome tool to get your avocado flesh out of the casing. So I'm just going to put that whole avocado in. That's one. That's seed in. And the second half going in now. Okay. So I've got the cooled garlic. So the garlic cloves were in with the beans because they were steaming. So I popped those in there. And it says to add 3/4 of this bean mix. So I'll just roughly do 3/4. I'm leaving about that much left. And then we're going to pop the lid on. Just pass me a lid, darling. Just in that. No, clean one. So just popping the lid on with the measuring cup. And then that's going on to speed 7 for 3. Okay. Just taking that lid off. Any spatula will do. And you can see how lovely that's looking already. We're just going to scrape those sides down. And next step, insert that measuring bowl, lid into the bowl, and then just another mix. Okay, now we're going to add feta cheese. So we're just going to add 50 grams of feta, just tear off the scales first. And again, I've just cubed this. And next, some lemon juice. Thank you. So just as a teaspoon of lemon, so I'll just give it a squeeze. And then we've got some horseradish going in. So it says 1/2 to 1 teaspoon, up to you. So I do just over 1/2 teaspoon in mine. And I'm just going to scrape the sides down and add the rest of the beans. So we're going to keep the rest of the beans until last. And then we're going to mix this now. It's in reverse because we don't want to break up those last bits of beans. In reverse speed, 4 to 3 seconds. Okay. And this is ready to serve. So I'll just pour this out now. And here you can see we have this lovely, impressive, bright, vibrant dip that can be dished up so quick and easily with things you've probably got in your fridge or freezer. Okay, any questions around this dip? If not, I will pass you back over to Nia.
Thanks, Anthea. That looked delicious. And I love the fact it's so bright and green. It's really festive. And my next dip actually will add to that. I'm just going to take you back to the butterscotch sauce. That's perfect timing. It's just finished. I wish you could smell it. It's that lovely, sweet, caramelly smell in the kitchen. And all we would do in this, I'm going to pour it into a clear bowl just so you can see the beautiful colour and texture. Look at that. My kids are going to be very impressed when they get home from school today. They're going to have that over some ice cream. With that, you can use it warm straight away out of your Thermomix. And the alternative would be just to keep it in the fridge. And it will keep for up to 5 days in the fridge. So you can use it, you don't have to use it all in one go. Obviously, because it's got the cream in there, it's not going to keep beyond that date. So just make a note of when you've actually used that. So there's the butterscotch sauce. I have to put my finger in. Oh yes, that's really good. So there we go. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. Luckily, I have another jug here, which makes it a little bit convenient. So I've finished that recipe. I'm going to go back into here. And another way of looking for my recipes is just to go into recently cooked. If it's stuff that I do all the time, and there are some regular things, then I'll often just go into there to find it quickly. Now I know I've already gone through this recipe this morning to weigh out my ingredients in anticipation. So I'm going to go back into recently cooked, and I've got beetroot, Parmesan and cashew dip. There we go. Now this dip is taken from Festive Flavors. And if any of you haven't had the chance to look at this, it's on Cookie Do. It's a great book. It's focused on the Australian Christmas and New Zealand Christmas. So it's very much angled towards seafood and some of the lovely summer recipes that we enjoy over the festive period. So well worth a look through and saving some recipes off there. It's definitely a go-to for me. And some of the classes running this week are actually looking at gifts and things you can make to give to people at Christmas time. So really good to know about that one. Okay, so we're going to start cooking, and it's asking for 80 grams of Parmesan. So as I mentioned before, always just make sure that you've cubed it quite small so it doesn't get stuck under your blades, because you don't want big chunks of cheese in your dip. So that's going in there. And also a garlic clove. Now I've chosen quite a small one, and that's just a personal preference. For me, I don't like too much raw garlic when I'm with my dips and stuff. If you love that, then obviously the bigger the better. But just for my personal preferences, that's what I like. I'm then going to pop the lid on. And then I'm actually just going to grate this for 10 seconds. So the garlic will be incorporated into the Parmesan. And it's going to be quite loud because of the power of the Thermomix in terms of getting that fabulous texture. So bear with me for 10 seconds while I give this a good old grate. There we go. And I am just going to show you this. So there's the texture. It literally is just grated Parmesan. And I don't know if any of you buy Parmesan already grated from the supermarket. You saw how quick and easy that was to do. And it's also worth remembering that that's just fresh. When you buy the bags of grated Parmesan from the supermarket, you've got anti-caking agents and those kind of additives in there. So if you want the pure and natural stuff, great to do yourself. And the same with grating any cheese, really. Unless you want the pretty kind of long pieces. If you're grating cheese to go on pizza and stuff, it's so much more economical to do it yourself. So just bear that in mind, one of the other great uses of your Thermomix. So I'm going to pop that back on. And now it's asking me for 150 grams of roasted salted cashew nuts. Now I've got some roasted cashews here. They're actually unsalted. So when it asks for seasoning towards the end of this dip, I'm going to be a little bit more generous. Using what I've got in, which is perfect. It's going to ask me to pop the lid on. And I'm just going to grind those just for 2 seconds, just to make them much smaller. There we go. That was more than 2 seconds. Apologize. Okay. Let me just check if I missed a step. Yep, we're all good. Again, just to show you again how quick it was just to grind those cashews up. Easy, very quick. And when you get that call over Christmas, being invited round to your neighbours for a quick barbecue, what can I bring? This is a great dish to be able to put together with pantry staples that you've probably got in. So worth bearing in mind. It's now asking me to add a 450 gram of canned baby beetroot. And it's asking me to reserve some of the liquid, which I've already done. So again, had this in the pantry. We do love beetroot in our house, so that's always easy. That's popping in there. And then the reserved tablespoon of beetroot liquid, which I've just saved from the can. Now, I mentioned earlier when I did the butterscotch sauce, how you can just use your scales to weigh this. On the TM6, I will show you. On your other machines, you would just bring up your scales as usual. So on the 3 little dots here next to the green box in the top right-hand corner, if I press that, it brings up 3 little items. Recipe details, so you can go back and see what's in the recipe and what's coming next. It's got scales, and it also gives you the option of cancelling the recipe. So if I press scales, it brings up the scales mid-recipe. A tablespoon is normally around 15 grams. So again, just saves you getting another thing out of the cupboard and more washing up. So I'm just going to tip in. I haven't pre-measured that. That's just over. That'll do. And then I exit out of my scales and it takes me right back to where I was in my recipe. So that's really handy. And then I'm going to add in the Parmesan and the garlic that I previously grated. In she goes. Oops, 2 steps. I'm going to pop my lid on. And now I'm just going to incorporate all this together just for 6 seconds on speed 5. Next thing I'm going to add in is just a little bit of lemon juice. It's a tablespoon of lemon juice, which is about half a smallish lemon. I've already measured that out, so that's going in. And then season with a pinch of salt and black pepper. So I'm going to put a little bit more salt than a pinch because I have the unsalted cashews. So just give that a good grinding in there. Going to add a little bit of pepper. Checking there's some in there. Done. Okay. I'm just going to scrape that down to make sure that's all at the bottom of the jug. Going to press next, pop my lid back on, give it a final mix, and that's just going to go for 3 seconds on speed 4. And then it's saying there, transfer into a sealable container and place into the refrigerator until ready to serve. So I'm going to give you a quick glimpse, but I will serve it out when Anthea comes back to me. We've got a beautiful red, vibrant beetroot dip there. Smells divine. So I will serve that up. And then when Anthea's finished her next dish, I'll show you how it looks out in the bowl. Over to you, Anthea.
Thank you. Okay, so coming back to me, my next recipe is the smoked, let me just go on to it, is the hot smoked salmon and cream cheese dip. Now this one is a Nico Morietti recipe and it is in a collection that he has on Cookie Do. I first came across this recipe when he did a cooking class with it and was blown away. So I'm so happy to have it on Cookie Do with guided cooking. Now there is a cooking element to this one. So I did do that before we came on to save you watching it cooking for 15 minutes. What we've got in here is we have 1 leek that I chopped up and chopped in the bowl. We have butter, olive oil, and what else do we have? White wine and lemon juice. So it was chopped and then all heated together. Now the recipe says to leave it to cool completely. I don't bother with that because who's got time for that? So this is just slightly cooled and we can just go straight on to the next few steps. Now, just a couple of things I want to show you on here. I can go into the recipe and select the step that I'm up to rather than scrolling next by opening the recipe up. So I've got that here. Let's go back to the beginning of it. So it is my leek and smoked salmon dip. So I just want to show you how the recipe comes up to start with. I've actually resumed. So start cooking. So where we've got the screen that says start cooking, you can actually scroll all the way down. Now the first step I've already done. So the leek and garlic have gone in, been chopped. Butter and oil, lemon zest. Sorry, lemon zest as well was cooked. And wine and lemon juice, and then it cooked, and leave it to sit in the bowl to cool for 30 minutes. I'm going to go straight to step 5. So if I click on step 5, it takes me straight to that step. So here I have 250 grams of my cream cheese going into the bowl. I've just cubed it. And then pop that lid on. Then we're going to select speed 4 to mix that through. Just give it a scrape down. So scraping it down. And then next, add the hot smoked salmon flakes. So this is the hot smoked salmon. It comes in, you can see it in like strips of actual salmon, not the thin smoked salmon. And with it being flaked, Faith, can you sort the dog out, please? And we'll just pop that through, just breaking it up as you're popping it into the dip. Can you see why the oven's making noise, Faith? Okay, so adding salt to taste. And ground black pepper. I've got mine already here. I prefer to grind my pepper in the Thermomix and have it always to hand. So I'll just pop a little pinch of that in there. And chives. So the chives you can either chop in the Thermomix, but I like to just cut them with my Thermomix scissors. And that will do. And then next, popping that lid back on. And it's just stirring it in reverse to mix all those ingredients together. Okay, and that is the dip done. So this one you can serve warm or cold. I'll just show you what it looks like in the bowl before we dish up. And it is the most delicious dip. So much flavour. Just going to pop that here for you to see. And there we have the smoked salmon and cream cheese dip from Nico Morietti. Any questions about this one? Nope. Nia, you ready for me to pass you over?
Here I am. Sorry about that. I was just replying to some of the messages. So just to let you know, here's our beautiful beetroot dip. I'm sorry, it's a bit bright behind me. We've got the sun out here. It's the beautiful pinky red color, really festive. Now I've got another 2 quantities the same as that, so it makes quite a bit of dip. So a really great recipe when you're entertaining. Now this morning I did think, what do we need to go with these dips? So I've made some seeded crackers, and these are taken from the Whole Food Child book by Louise Keats. Some really healthy, very nutritional recipes in that book, but oh so easy. I literally had to take a selection of seeds, linseed, sesame seeds, pepitas, sunflower seeds, bit of garam masala, paprika, some water, mix it all together in your bowl, and then you just lay it out on your tray to bake. And let me show you. Here's the beautiful seeded biscuits. That's how easy it was. I've got 2 trays of this size. And then all I'm going to do is break a few of those up. Obviously, the fact that we're using seeds and so forth, it's highly nutritional. Lots of calcium, lots of folate, lots of magnesium, some of the omega-3 oils. So it's a really healthy cracker to have for all the family. But particularly obviously with the kids, it's great to be able to get that nutrition into them. Now let me just show you. There we go. And all we need now is my little Santa knife to really complete the picture. So imagine taking that round to the neighbours for the barbecue. You're not going to be disappointed with that, are you? There we go. So those recipes are all on Cookie Dough. All the recipes that we talked about today are on Cookie Dough as well. The seeded crackers are on there as well. So have fun looking at those and trying them out, and hopefully it will add to your entertaining menus this Christmas. Thanks, Anthea.
Thank you, Nia. I will just come back onto Spotlight. I just want to show you something that I bought recently from the mix shop, Dracini Roller. And this is the first chance that I've had to use it. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to risk it doing it live in my first go, but it works really well. So I basically just made a basic pizza dough. I floured it, and I just roll this on top like so. Look how cool that is. And so what you can do is I can put pepper on it. I've got some nice Zaha dip that I can put on it. And you can just flavor these with herbs, whatever you want to. Pop it in the oven for 20 minutes and you've got your own grissini. So I just wanted to show you that. This is available in the Mix shop. If you do purchase anything from the Mix shop, don't forget to put your consultant's name down. I also want to show you now, thank you to Tammy, who has just put in all of the links for the cookie dough recipes. Thank you so much. I want to show you now my little quick entertaining spread with the 3 dips that I made. So just to remind you, there was the hot smoked salmon dip, it was the smashed pea and bean dip, and the red capsicum and cashew nuts. So I'm just going to show you that here so you can get a good view of how that can look if you're entertaining very quickly over the festive season. So there we have it. Hopefully we've managed to inspire you to make some more homemade dips when you've got people coming over. And please feel free to pop things into the chat. So pop any questions into the chat. We'll hang around for a few more minutes. Plus we've recorded this session. So if you want to see it again, we'll pop it into our Vivid Facebook group so you can have another look at what you've just seen today. Thank you all for coming on. And thank you so much to Nia for helping. And Tam for all your little posts or your recipes links in the chat for us. You're welcome, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, we will put it on the Insiders Facebook page.